Last October, Conor Howard, a 27-year-old engineer, was en route home to Scotland from Australia, where he'd been working for a year. He had a layover for a connecting flight at Doha in Qatar. There, the authorities found a herb grinder in his hand luggage, which they claimed was for processing marijuana leaves. But after 6 hours questioning, Conor, whose nickname is Milky to his pals, was allowed to leave Qatar and got safely back to Tranent near Edinburgh. When he later travelled to Corfu in Greece to visit his parents in their holiday house, he was arrested and is currently being held on an Interpol extradition request and faces a hearing next month. Radha Stirling of the campaign group Detained in Dubai says the arrest, detention and demand he be taken back to Qatar is ridiculous, especially when he was released in the first place.
It's absolutely a strange case in the first place that he was arrested over carrying what's essentially a herb grinder. It could be used for tea or anything. It's completely legal in Australia, where it was purchased in a shop, in the UK and in Greece, and he was let go from Qatar after an investigation, and then suddenly finds himself arrested and detained in a Greek prison awaiting extradition for a 1-year sentence that was issued against him in his absentia. I mean, it's really difficult to protect yourself against arbitrary enforcement, and this is Middle East wide. We've seen people arrested for having poppy seeds on the bottom of their shoe that they picked up from a bread roll.
His local MP in East Lothian, the SNP's Kenny MacAskill, is also taking up the case with the Foreign Office.
I've had a conversation with the Minister. I appreciate that there are sensitivities because we're dealing with the Qatar government, but I do think we have to push harder and faster, which is why I'm seeking a meeting with Dominic Raab, the Foreign Secretary. The Greeks do require to accept the warrant that's issued. It's Qatar that's issued this warrant, and it's Qatar that's got to solve this problem. I cannot for the life of me see why they would wish to have Conor back in their custody. He's not committed any criminal offence, and even if they view this as something that they disapprove of, it is so trivial it cannot merit sending Qatari police officers and a plane to Corfu to bring him back to Qatar. But I do think the Foreign and Commonwealth Office has to push further and harder for a British citizen who is detained, in custody in Greece for no reason whatsoever other than some administrative error.
A Facebook campaign set up by his worried friends and family, #GetMilkyHame, now has more than 1,700 followers, all hoping the case will be dropped and he can return home. In Corfu, his mum Adele and stepfather Robert Young say the situation is a nightmare.
It's so surreal that it's happened. We've only seen him through prison bars so far. The political side of it is just, it's crazy.
What he's done is nothing. It's not a crime in Greece and it's not a crime in Britain. But Greece are just trying to uphold what Qatar are saying.
Qatar is a very, very rich country, and Greece are looking to be just upholding the law for them so they don't fall out with each other. So they just keep on funding whatever they're funding. So we're hoping that the campaign is 100% successful. And they realise the mistake, they realise the nonsense. He was drug tested in Qatar and he's been drug tested here. Both negative, both clean. He's no Pablo Escobar. He's a wee guy for Tranent here.
But the Qatari authorities, who have a zero-tolerance approach to drugs, are for the moment at least insisting that their son, who has a bail hearing next week, is extradited to face charges, all of which Conor Howard denies, insisting the small plastic grinder was unused, bought legally in Australia as a joke for a pal back home, and couldn't have had any traces of drugs.